Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Different Spirits. It's an unusually nice day here in Chicago, and I wanted to talk to you about this bottle I've been sitting on for about a year because I don't really know what to do with it. But we're gonna try to taste it out. Get over there. All right, this is Rock Oyster, 18-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskey. This is from Douglas Laing. It's an older bottling, but you can still find it around. And it's kind of an entry in the genre of reasonably priced, older Scotch malt. But yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about. Or I don't know quite what to do with this, and you'll see why that is once we get in. But I do want to review it, and I wanted to put together like some kind of tasting flight for this. So we got some partners lined up. Now this is a kind of island themed blended malt. We'll get into the details in a little bit. So I thought another island whiskey would be appropriate. So we're gonna do this Unnamed Orkney from the Ultimate. Could it be Scapa? I don't think it's Scapa. I think it's Highland Park. And also on the theme of like kind of maritime blended malts. Hey, Campbeltown Loch. Let's do Campbeltown Loch. Very, very hot ticket item right now. This is a newer batch. All right, let's get all these poured and we will kind of work through these in order. Yeah, I guess Campbellton does have that little stretch of land, but other than that, it is kind of a big island. But it's kind of its own thing. Anyway, so it's sort of roughly maritime-y, islandy Scotch malts today. All right. Ooh, I don't know if you can tell from where you're sitting, but the Campbeltown Loch is actually the darkest glass here. Interesting. Okay, this, of course, is a blended malt, no age statement, put out by Springbank Distillery, and is composed entirely of Campbeltown whiskeys. So, the various Springbank recipes, Glen Scotia, and Kilkerran from Glen Distillery. So, yeah. And no age statement on this. There is a bottling date, 22/11/23, so 2020, late 2023. No, not a lot of information. It's bottled at 46%, but no information on chill filtration, no information on colorant. But it is pretty dark, and they do say on the website that it's bourbon and sherry casks. So let's get into this. This has a huge number of fans right now. I've never really been a believer, at least not when I tried this, way back when. It's nice. I found it very pleasant and kind of Springbanky, but yeah, just didn't. I was never as over the moon for this as the other people. But let's give this one a try. On the nose. So I'm going to get absolutely, murdered for this. But my first impression is actually there's something about this reminds me of Johnny Walker Black. But look, so Johnny Walker Black is it's a very frustrating experience for me because when you pour it and you nose it, the initial impression is it's actually quite a complex signature. There's lots of little things going on and lots of little different malt signatures. And you smell and you go, oh, is that Kalila? Oh, is that Kleinlich? But then the frustration is you kind of try to chase those notes down and there's nothing behind them. It's like, thinking you see a friend off in the distance and it turns out to just be like a scarecrow or something. This has some of that same. It's that mix of a little bit of peat, a little bit of sherry, fruit, maritime, a little bit of everything. and it's just that when you chase it down, it's still not Kalila or Clyde or anything. Hey, it actually turns out to be Campbeltown. What I immediately notice is I vaguely remember. I mean, the last time I tried this was like probably 10 years ago, close to that. It's less Springbanky than I remember it. There's some peat on this, so I initially thought, oh, maybe that's some longer or something, but it's not. It doesn't have the grunginess, that kind of like amusing, mean-spirited character that young Longrow has. What what the peat really makes me initially think of is, yeah, like Kalila, but there's also like a tropical fruit kind of thing wrapping into that, which is kind of the Kilkerran signature. That's Glengyle. Like that's Kalila is with tropical fruit is just like, that's a lot of what I get from the Kilkerran profile. So I feel like there's a fair bit of that in here, but there's also like that kind of like ashy, salty, malty thing that it's slightly grassy thing that Glen Scotia does quite a lot. So I feel like a lot of the vast majority of this is some kind of marriage of Glen Scotia and Kilkerran, which kind of makes sense if you think about like how much these distilleries are producing. Like Springbank is, in terms of absolute total capacity, what they could make. Springbank is the largest distillery in Campbeltown. They could, if they just, if they really wanted to. I'm blabbering too much, but bear with me. If Springbank really wanted to, if they went and tried to GFH, as the bodybuilders used to say, and really tried to wring out every bit of alcohol they could push it up to like probably 800,000 liters. Still not a lot, but a fair bit. But because they're trying to keep everything in house, because they're malting their own barley in particular, they're really producing only about maybe a third of that, maybe even a little bit less. So even though in terms of total capacity, Glengyle and Glen Scotia are smaller, like they're actually like hitting those kinds of. They're probably producing like twice as much actual whiskey, and that's it's kind of like coming through in this. If there's Springbanky distillate in here, it's really, for me, like carrying up the rear. Maybe it's just this batch. I don't know. That's my sense. All right, let me get some actual notes on the table. Thanks for bearing with me. Yeah, it does kind of do that, John. Like it's like a really good version of Johnny Walker Black that's actually Campbeltown, if you pay attention. Very maritime, like sea breeze. Malted milk balls, like a little bit of like sea salt thrown on. That's Glen Scotia. That's totally Glen Scotia. Yeah, seaside peat, like Kalila-ish peat, but then like kiwi, pineapple shell, orange peel, lemon peel, very like Kilkerran-y notes. Ooh, like there's like a fresh bread, like almost like a freshly baked sourdough note on this, which is very, very yeah, like fresh sourdough, but then like pour oatmeal all over it. It's a very, very Glen Scotia kind of note. You know, touch of vanilla, some peach, a little oolong tea. A little hint of Swisher Sweets. There's that little bit of sherry influence. But given the color, it's not as apparent as you would think it is. I mean, it's nice. It kind of comes off like a really nice blend of of Scotia and Kilkerran. I'm sorry, I keep saying that, but that's what I'm getting. Sorry. On the palate. Very nice. And a similar kind of story. I'm just really not getting the kind of grungy notes that I associate with younger Springbank. There's a little touch of nutshell in there. maybe. I don't know, but yeah, it feels like Scotia and Kilkerran doing Johnny Walker Black in the best possible way. So like sea breeze, like seasidey peat, applesauce, like a kind of campfire ash thing, oolong tea again. Maybe like maybe more green tea. There's a little bit of grassiness in there, like a grassy green tea. Kind of a lager note, like a doppelbock note, like nice doppelbock. Some fennel. Yeah, that kind of very subtle nutshell kind of thing. That could be Springbank. I don't know. Hard to nail down. Orange again, lemon again. Vanilla, malted milk balls again. Tropical fruit nectarine. Gummy bears. Yeah, gummy bears. Absolutely. It's funny. It's very nice. It feels, how do I put this? Weirdly hollow. I don't know how else to say it. It's yeah. I mean, if you go kind of chase those notes down, there's complexity, there's depth there, but it isn't as much as you would think, especially from nosing it. It just feels a little bit hollow. I'm gonna add some water to this. It's still a very nice malt, but it leaves me puzzled. Not as puzzled as the Rock Island is going to leave me, but yeah, we're getting there. All right, moving on. This is an Unnamed Orkney, bottled by The Ultimate. This was 2006, February 2006, bottled in late 2022. I'll put the cask number down there. But it was a refill butt and 16 years old. So this is also kind of in the genre of, older maritime malt, I guess. Refill butt, 46%, no colorant, non-chill filtered. Yay, the good stuff. All right, on the nose. Okay, so Highland Park, there's lots of Highland Parks. There's lots, it can take on lots of different styles, depending on the cask, depending on how they've distilled it. This is a cleaner, softer, more kind of heathery Highland Park. Very honey driven. There's lots of like clover honey, orange blossom honey, like that kind of thing. I hate to use this note, but marzipan, absolutely. Like I just took a trip to to Mexico City, and I ate like a ton of marzipan down there. I don't know why there's so much marzipan in Mexico City, but there is. Yeah, like kind of a milk chocolate thing, lots of kind of orchard fruit, pear, quince, like quince jam, orange peel. Just a couple of field flowers. It's very kind of floral, nice. There's a little wisp of maritime peat in there, but it's very, well, it's like maritime peat that's also like kind of, heathery and like grassy. I don't know. Some Highland Parks can get actually quite upfront with the peatiness. This is not one of those. It's very much just like kind of subtle background color note. Give this some more swirling and it gets much more kind of chocolate orangey. It starts to, which is one of those notes that it's starting to irk me a little bit in older malts because it's so common. Like there's just so many official bottlings in particular that just smell like kind of a chocolate orange fell into a musty, attic or something. Not to say it isn't pleasant, but it's a note I'm kind of getting sick of. I love chocolate oranges. I love smashing them on tables. I'm just tired of that note. Yeah, it's just a very, very nice, understated, um, stately malt. It's a little porridge in there too. Just a little like, you know, old English countryside porridge. It's nice. Um, on the palate, I do have to say that on the nose that the Campbeltown Loch was actually a little bit more forward. But on the palate, let's see what happens. Oh, you immediately see what the difference of the 16 years in a cask makes versus whatever this is. It's just got so much more length and mouth presence to it, even though it's bottled at the same strength. Um, and again, it's pretty soft, but it just it's holding on and kind of pushing back in a way that the Campbeltown Loch was not. Um, Character, a lot of chocolate on this. Milk chocolate, dark chocolate, um, field flowers, mixed honeys. Ooh, lemon peel, but also like I think like kind of darker milk chocolate that has like lemon peel infused into it, which is delicious, by the way. Get some like lemon infused chocolate; it's fantastic. It's got a little bit of that. Um, that kind of subtle maritime peat thing. It's just again, it's just a little background note in there just to give it some color. This is not a peaty Highland Park at all. Um, just kind of like a seashell kind of thing. Porridge, chocolate orange, yeah. Especially in the mid palate transition into the finish, there's some like very nice burned twig notes, English breakfast tea. Yeah, in terms of notes, this is not really more complex than the Campbeltown Loch is, but in terms of mouth presence, I think this is actually beating it out. It's just it hangs on for longer and goes back further and just it feels like it's scraping my mouth down in a little bit more of a convincing way. Um, or rather, I don't know. It doesn't feel as quote unquote hollow as the Campbeltown Loch did. I know the Campbeltown Loch people are writing angry comments down below. That's fine. That's fine. I still like it. We'll get back to it in a second. All right. Let's get the squirt of water to the Highland Park, and then there's this thing. Douglas Lang's Rock Oyster, 18-year-old blended malt Scotch whiskey. I did actually review the unaged version of this, the non-aged statement version of the Rock Oyster. They changed the name a couple of years ago, so this would have happened before the name changed. So this is probably like 2017, 2018. It's been out there for a while. But what this is, it's a blend of malts from, they say, Orkney, Arran, Jura, and Islay. Traditional and non-chill filtered. No indication of cask types. Yada, yada, yada. But it is bottled at 46.8%. It is 18 years old. And, oh, by the way, it's pretty darn reasonably priced. This glass. Here we go. This is where you kind of like raise an eyebrow. Not because it's bad, but because it's like you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. It smells like pound cake with oysters. I mean, I know it's called rock oyster, but yeah, it really smells like you're eating like there's like a pound cake here, and you've got like a pile of fresh oysters right next to it. there's such a divergence of styles in this thing. I'm getting apple and pear and like wildflower honey, like some amber ale notes, like some beer notes. But then black tea, like really twiggy peat. Sea breeze, kind of like a menthol thing. So yeah, there's this fruity, almost desserty, bready side to this, but then there's this kind of more peaty, grungy side to it as well. It's really tricky to kind of think this one through. It smells a little bit like a Bordeaux Blanc, like a traditional Semillon Sauvignon Blanc blend. It's got a little bit of that going on. The minerality. Like cider apples, as well as like red apples, green apples. Like some cinnamon rolls, or maybe some churros or something like that. Something like baked in cinnamony. Little touches of vanilla latte. I mean, what's there is absolutely quality. It's just it's very very tricky, and it's kind of like a mind fuck. I'm sorry, that is that's the experience of this on the nose. Yeah. All right, on the palate. Here we go. I mean, so if you are the malt nerd that has tried everything, and you're just bored of all the profiles out there at this point in your development, you absolutely owe it to yourself to chase down a bottle of this. It works, but you really have to fight with it to kind of figure out why it works. Again, it's like, yes, peat, brine, sea salt, bonfire, but also like green apple, coffee cake, like Ceylon tea with a lot of milk and sugar in it. Malted milk balls, once again. It's so, like, the notes are kind of like running in these different directions, and it's kind of fun and it's kind of baffling, but it's kind of fun. Black Cavendish tobacco. This is bonkers. Bordeaux Blanc again. Miso soup. Totally. Honey. That bonfire ash is really intense. Kind of like a vey lemon lime thing again. Quite good length and finish. It's good. It's just kind of baffling. It's just really hard to reconcile these flavors with each other. But it's fun. All right, we will add water and come back to that. All right, back to the Campbeltown Loch. All right. Get your hate comments ready. Post them down below. It helps the algorithm. Ooh. With water, this... Okay, so there's like a candied ginger note. Which, yeah, that's also kind of Glen Scotia-y. But then there's like a... Oh, what is that? It's like a rye note. Oh, malted rye. Malted rye whiskey, like that new riff I reviewed a while back. Totally. It's like someone like just, while I wasn't looking, just put a little bit of malted rye in my glass. But then, yeah, I mean, beyond those kind of new developments, it still smells like a lot of Kilkerran and a lot of Glen Scotia. And it's still nice. I mean, I know I'm complaining a little bit, but maybe it's just because I want to counteract the hype on this. And the hype on, like, Springbanky stuff in general. But it's nice. All right, on the palate. Yeah, coming back to this, after these two older malts, you can absolutely see, like, the mouth presence on this is just not holding up in a fight against these two. The initial arrival of the flavors is very nice, but everything just kind of, like, it doesn't fall apart. It just kind of, like, it just kind of shrugs off a little bit. It's a little bit short, and yeah, I mean, I was comparing it favorably to Johnny Walker, but it does kind of do that. There's a hollowness to this. There's like a little bit of a shallowness to this. But let's put this in perspective. I mean, forget about, if you can, forget about the Springbanky hype. Forget about the absolutely bonkers U.S. prices on this, which are just Pacific Edge ringing you out for money. I'm sorry. Forget about all that. If you just look at this for what it is, and you walk into a retail shop in the middle of Europe that has this, say Belgium, you walk into a nice liquor bottle shop in Belgium, you're going to see this on the shelf for like 40 euros, 45 bucks or so. And for well presented, aside from the non-age statement thing, blended malt with lots of character. It's got a profile I actually really like. I mean, if I were to try to design a profile for my own palate from scratch of single malt, it would be a lot like this. Anyways, if you were buying that for 45 bucks, I'd say you're getting a good deal. Like, this is worth that kind of money. I'm not going to score it in the scratch seal. I'm going to call this 84 points. I think it's very nice. I think it's very pleasant. It's definitely delivering that kind of, like, a little bit of everything sort of profile, which is great. I like that. But it's not lightning in a bottle. It just isn't. It's a nice blended malt. That's all it is. It's a nice blended malt. 84 points. Leave your hate comments below. All right, moving on. Back to the Orkney. See what happens in the nose of this. Ooh, okay. This gets more citrusy and kind of more orangey. I mean, really like more tangerine-y than orangey. A little chamomile creeping in. It's still recognizably like a nice sherried Highland Park. I mean, there's no... And again, it's the fruity, the nice, the stately side of Highland Park. This is just something you pour in your glass at the end of a hard day and you just relax a little bit. Pour it into a snifter with your smoking jacket on. It's charming. It's understated on the palate. Pretty dang good. It's grassy. The mouth presence is what's kind of selling me on this. It just fills up my entire mouth, and it holds on reasonably well. Yeah, kind of grassy. It's lightly peaty, lightly briny, chocolate orange. That's what this is. Yeah. Um, it's not that far ahead of the Campbeltown Loch. It's really the mouth presence that's putting it ahead, but it is ahead. I would call this an 85 plus. Um, just a great kind of anytime malt. I mean, and it wasn't that expensive either, especially for the age. So keep an eye out for this if you can get it for a reasonable price. Let's move back to this little sucker. Back to the Rock Oyster 18. And hold on to your hats. Can you see the look of bafflement on my face? It's there. It's there and it works, but you really have to work to appreciate this. It's like maritime herbal tea with like some apple or something. It's very tricky. It's like driving a Lotus or something. It's very fingertippy. You have to work so hard to get the best out of this. Okay. On the palate. But especially with water, yeah, man. Especially with water, it does just come together somehow. Like it really does. It's got this kind of like peated, honeyed green apple porridge kind of thing happening. The form is very good. Great mouthfeel, great finish. Going way back into my mouth. Yeah, quite good, but take caution. I mean, this is really for the adventurous. I talk a lot about how there's certain kinds of malts and whiskey profiles that we think are difficult that aren't really, like peat. Peated whiskey aged in bourbon cask is not that hard. Like, you can wrap your head around that without a whole lot of difficulty. It's a little bit harder to get a handle on like a Highland Parky kind of profile or like a Springbanky kind of profile as we're talking. This is just like you really have to give this some time, not to let it air out or anything, just for your brain to wrap your head around the combination of flavors that is going on here. The kind of fruity, candied, desserty side, the kind of yeasty, bready side, but then kind of this maritimey, peaty, campfirey side at the same time. But it works. Score-wise, I don't know. I'm torn. I keep going up and down with this thing. I'm going to call it an 86 caution mark. I'm going to put a caution emoji in there because you really need to know what you're getting into with this. 86 caution mark with this. That being said, if you're bored out of your mind of Scotch whiskies, buy this and find your boredom relieved. This is different. And yeah, that's the video. 84 points for the Campbeltown Loch. It's fine, but it's an entry-level malt, y'all. It's not the savior. It's a nice malt. 85 plus for this Unnamed Orkney, and 86 caution mark for the Rock Oyster 18. Thanks for watching, and yeah, cheers. Hope you're enjoying your spring.